Hello, my name is Ivan Taylor, and it's my pleasure to be here today to talk to you about some work that my colleague, Tak Ono, and I have been doing on a system dynamics approach to reaching the Sustainable Development Goals. So Tak Ono is a student at the University of Bergen in Norway, and I work in Canada for Policy Dynamics Incorporated. Uh, you probably all know the UN developed 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and they did that with a 2030 agenda for sustainable development adopted in 2015 by all UN members. However, when we tried to apply system dynamics to the Sustainable Development Goals, we found that there was no clear understanding of the causal interactions between the SDGs, and we found that the SDGs were lagging indicators and could not forecast into the future. Just to summarize the 17 SDGs, here is the summary. The first SDG is no poverty. Second is zero hunger. Third is good health and well-being. Fourth is quality education. Fifth, gender equality. Sixth, clean water and sanitation. Seventh is affordable and clean energy. Eight is decent work and economic growth. 9 is industrial innovation and infrastructure. 10 is reduced inequalities. 11 is sustainable cities and communities. 12 is responsible consumption and production. 13 is climate action. 14 is life below water. 15 is life on land. 16 is peace, justice, and strong institutions. And 17 is partnership for the goals. And you can see that this covers most of the areas of sustainable development that are of interest to countries all over the world. So what we did in this work is we tried to establish interconnections between the SDGs using a system dynamics approach and develop a model and assess future projections for informed decision making, prioritizing, and planning. We hope that this model will be able to evaluate potential emergent behavior and provide novel insights. And we hope that this modeling framework will allow future expansion of work into the future. The methodology involved what we found a network diagram developed by LeBlanc in 2015 that connected the sustainable development goals through their lower level targets. However, this network diagram needed to be augmented with polarities for it to be used in system dynamics. And then we translated the network into a stock and flow diagram and calibrate the model using the initial SDG values and near-term historical values from the Sustainable Development Report, which is provided every year and provides estimates on a 0 to 100 scale of the achievement of each country in each Sustainable Development Goal. And then we found an optimization technique where we optimized the effort that was put into improving the sustainable development goals, and we found results that we could project into the near future. And then we developed case studies for a developed country, a BRICS country, and a developing country to show that this model could be applied to every type of country. We're only going to show the results for the BRICS country today, but we can, if you're interested in the other applications, we can send you our paper. And if you're interested in seeing this work applied to your country, you can feel free to contact us after the conference, and we will try to apply this to the country, your country of origin. So here's the network diagram developed by LeBlanc in 2015. And these SDGs are shown as the big circles, different colors, and you can see the target values, which is subcategories of the goals, shown in small circles and also color-coded based on the colors of the SDGs. And then you can see the edges here between the goals through the targets. And you can see that some of these goals are connected to other goals through the targets. And we developed polarities for these connections based on looking closer at the targets and what the definitions of the targets were. Then we converted this to a stock and flow diagram that uses a goal gap approach. And here we have each of the SDGs is modeled as a stock, and the value goes between 0 and 100. And then there's a closing of the gap between a target and the current value that based on a time to change the target. And this target is the target specified, say, by a country, the government of the day. However, we know that these targets can be enhanced or degraded by connections, inhibited by connections with other SDGs. So in this case, we see that SDG 2's progression will affect the ability to reach SDG 1's target. And so we have this idea of progress in the SDGs where the current value of the SDG is compared to the initial value of the SDG, and then that progress is applied to the target value for SDG 2. And this connection between SDG 1 and SDG 2 comes from the network diagram. And as you can see, this is a goal and gap approach. So we calibrated the model based on minimizing the sum of squared error between the model and the data. And this is for the BRICS country. You can see that the BRICS country we considered was Brazil. And this is for SDG 8, which is decent work and economic growth. And the actual values in the SDG report are shown in blue, and the model values are shown in pink. So you can see that we got an excellent calibration of the model to match the data. And then we took the calibrated model and we projected into the future. As I said, we only have 5 years worth of data from 2017 to 2021, and then we projected to 2026. And you can see that some of the SDGs future values are projected to increase and some are projected to decrease. And these are the 17 SDGs. So we found what our approach was that we wanted to improve the most problematic SDG. So we applied what we call extra effort to all of the SDGs in a way that gives us the maximum improvement in the worst SDG, which in this case is SDG 10, which is reduce inequality. So when we applied effort, we optimized the effort to improve SDG 10, we see that we got quite an improvement in SDG 10, but also notice we got improvement in other SDGs as well. So if you look back, you can see a number of SDGs improving when we improved SDG 10. So we felt that this was very interesting and useful, and showed that that these SDGs were highly interconnected, and that they can work together in a synergistic fashion. Here is the summary of the SDG 10. You can see that the status quo is in red, which shows basically a flat line into the future. And when effort is applied, we can see the green line showing that the SDG value can go up to, say, 50 out of 100 in the next 5 years with extra effort applied. So, as I said, we did 3 case studies and the BRICS example is shown here. And some SDGs show a downward trend and some SDGs show an upward trend. And we looked at the BRICS country, Brazil, and we tried to improve the poorest performing SDG, which in this case was SDG 10, reduce inequality. And then we tried to optimize the effort to improve SDG 10, but this effort was applied to all the SDGs because they were synergistic and to various different levels to each SDG, but we tried to apply it in a way that improved the performance of SDG 10, or the lowest SDG. And as we saw, when we did that, many of the other SDGs improved as well. This model, as I said, can be applied to any country in the world. And if you're interested in seeing it applied to your country, you can contact us after the conference. Some limitations of this work that we recognize are that we have very limited historical data, only values since 2017. And we realize that when we get a new SDG report annually, we would need to recalibrate the model, and that might produce different results. Also, we notice that the government of the day must determine the actual policy changes and programs that need to be implemented to improve the specific SDGs. All we talk about is applying effort. We don't actually get specific on what that effort involves. And also, we understand that the SDGs have varying levels of response to the same level of improvement efforts. So some SDGs may take more effort to improve than others, and we don't model that at present, but I think we could in the future using some kind of a cost and benefit analysis. Future work, we want to assess different optimization goals. So instead of maximizing the minimum, we could maximize the average or median SDG. We could apply the model to more countries to demonstrate the informative power of the model. And we'd also, in the future, like to check the viability of a similar approach to the SDG targets, the 17 sub-goals that comprise each of the SDGs. Here are our references, and thank you for listening. And as I said, if you're interested in contacting us and finding out how this model might apply to your country, feel free to contact me at ivan@policydynamics.ca. Or if you're interested in seeing some of our other work, you can look at our website, www.policydynamics.ca, and see some other work we're doing. And you can contact us at any time to collaborate with you on other other system dynamics studies. So thank you very much. I hope to talk to you soon.